Namaste everyone, welcome to the class again. Today we are going to see this fourth chapter, circulatory system. Circulatory system is again a very important system in our body, which is responsible for circulation of nutrients, circulation of waste product, circulation of oxygen to different parts of system. So let us begin. For performing several functions like growth, respiration, excretion, motion, action, etc., a continuous supply of good nutrient to the muscles, nerves, bones, and other organs is essential. Right? Very well said that for different types of function, what our body need nutrients. So our body means different parts of the body like muscles, nerves, bones, they all need nutrients. So they need continuous supply of these nutrients. The process by which the movement of nutrients, oxygen, hormones, enzymes, minerals, carbon dioxide, and other toxic excretory substances take place through the liquid medium of the living body is called circulation. So what is circulation? Circulation is the process by which the movement of nutrients, oxygen, hormone, enzyme, minerals, carbon dioxide, and other toxic excretory substances takes place. Okay, through liquid medium. So this blood through which all these substances are flowing, it is a liquid medium. The medium of circulation in many and other higher animal are blood and lymph. So there are two things. You generally know about blood, but there is one more liquid which is called lymph, which is present in our body, and it also helps for the movement of various, I can say, product or various substances. So the medium of circulation in many and other higher animal are blood and lymph, and the system which deal with this circulation of blood and lymph is termed as circulatory system. So what is the circulatory system? Circulatory system is a system, okay, it is a system by which blood and lymph are flowing. So the medium of circulation in man and other higher animals are blood and lymph, and the system which deal with this circulation of blood and lymph is termed as circulatory system. Okay, so we understand here what is circulation and what is circulatory system. Now circulatory system, the system of vessels in animals body that transport essential substances to and from the different parts of the body is called circulatory system. There are three main parts of the human circulatory system. These are the heart, the blood vessels. Okay, circulatory system, the system of vessels in the animal's body that transport essential substances to and from different part of the body is called circulatory system. Okay, what is circulatory system? The system of vessels in the animal's body that transport essential substances to and from the different part of the body is called circulatory system. There are three main part of the human circulatory system. They are the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels. So circulatory system is a system through which essential substances from different parts of the body are circulating, and this circulatory system has three main parts. One is heart, second is blood which is flowing. Heart is responsible for pumping, that we will understand here, and last there is blood vessels. So blood is flowing in blood vessels, and through that it is transporting the essential nutrients to different cells. So let us first concentrate on the heart. Okay, you can see this diagram. So here they can ask this diagram, they will not label all the parts and they ask you to label. They will mention A, B, C, D like that, and you have to understand which part is what. Okay, so if you see diagram first instead of reading this, okay, you will find that this heart, it is divided in four parts. Okay, first we divide it in two part, one is left and other is right. Now you can see that this side is left side, it is actually your right hand side. Okay, your right hand side is towards this left part of the heart. So you will say that how this is happening, that right side is left. So actually when you turn, okay, yourself, okay, means when I will see a person which is in, who is in front of me, so then his left hand will be opposite to my right hand. So this is how, means this heart is in front of me, so for this heart the left part is, you can say, towards your right hand side, and then we have right part. So left part and right part, we have these two parts. Then this left part and right part, again it divide into part. So here in left part you can see we have left atrium, top portion is left atrium, bottom portion is left ventricle. Similarly on the right we have right atrium and right ventricle. Okay, then you will see, so these are the four parts, four chambers, you can say. Then here you will see that there is some valve, like we have walls in our home or in our society. On terrace there is a valve which we open and close so that water will flow. In the same way, there is some valve present in this heart, that is called tricuspid valve. Tricuspid valve, the valve is somewhere here, it is not visible clearly. So we have tricuspid valve, and here we have mitral valve. We have mitral valve. Okay. Then you see here we have pulmonary valve. Okay, so here we have tricuspid valve, here we have pulmonary valve, and here we have mitral valve. Here you see aortic valve is also there, and we can see here aorta and pulmonary artery. So this aorta and pulmonary artery, these are like pipe, okay, through which blood is flowing. So we will see about them all here. So heart, let us see what is first point. The heart is situated in the center of the chest between the lungs and lies just under the breastbone above the diaphragm. Okay, so too complicated. The heart is situated in the center of the chest. Okay, so first you understand, uh, if you see center part of your chest, so inside that there is a heart. It is between the lungs and lies just under the breastbone. So your chest bone, you can say your chest bone. Okay, between chest bone and lung, this heart lies. It lies above the diaphragm. So diaphragm, at the bottom of your chest, you have one arc like bone, that is called diaphragm. So just above the diaphragm, okay, between lungs and breastbone, your heart lies, and nearly in the center of the chest. It has four chambers. So as we discussed, it has four part, four chambers, two upper, two upper chamber, and left and right atria, and two lower chamber, left and right ventricle. So the two upper chambers, they are called left atrium, right atrium, and the two lower chambers, they are called left ventricle and right ventricle. The chambers on the left, the chambers on the left are separated from those on the right by septum. The chambers on the left, the chambers on the left are separated from those on the right by the septum. So in between we have septum, okay, one portion that we call septum. So the chambers on the left are separated from that of the right by septum, and blood flow between the top and bottom chambers is controlled by valves. So here we have seen tricuspid valve, mitral valve, then aortic valve, pulmonary valve. They are what? They are for what? They are for controlling the flow of the blood. Okay, the left atrium receive oxygenated blood. Now see this left part, left atrium, it receives oxygenated blood. From where oxygenated blood is coming? It is coming from the lungs. So the left atrium receives the oxygenated blood from the lung through the pulmonary veins. So pulmonary veins are responsible for getting oxygenated blood to the left atrium. So here you can see these veins, na? These veins, it is not named, but these veins are pulmonary veins which carry oxygenated blood. The blood then flow into the left ventricle, which pump it out, which the blood then flows into the left ventricle. Okay, so then blood, it comes in the left ventricle. Then from here it is pumped out to different parts of the body. So from left ventricle, it is pumped out through the aorta. As the blood circulates through the body, it loses oxygen, and deoxygenated blood is eventually returned to the heart via the right atrium and ventricle to be pumped back to the lungs for reoxygenation. Okay, so what is happening from arteries, left arteries, they received oxygenated blood. Okay, then those oxygenated blood, they enter in the left ventricle. From there they pumped to different parts of the body. When they go in different parts of the body, they lose out their oxygen. Okay, they lose out their oxygen to different cells, and from there they collect carbon dioxide, and they bring back those carbon dioxide to lungs again. But now this time they bring back them to the right side of the heart. Okay, so right atrium receives this deoxygenated blood, and then it pushes it to the right ventricle, and from right ventricle it is pushes to the lungs for removing that carbon dioxide and again getting oxygen. So the left side of the heart is stronger than the right side. Now left side is stronger. Why left side is stronger? Because here we have to pump blood to different parts of the body. Because the right side only pump blood to the lung and back, while the left side pump blood around the whole body. So why left part is strong? Because it has to pump blood to the whole body. Okay, so we have understood the function of heart. Okay, how the heart is functioning and what are the different chambers of the heart. Okay, now let us see blood vessels. The blood vessels are branched tube. Now what is blood vessels? So they are branched tube. So from main, okay, pipe, main pipe, the blood is coming, and now it need to be circulated to different parts of the body. So what happens, from this main pipe we get a different branch. You can see this is the main pipe, and from this pipe we are having different minute branch, and all these branch we call as blood vessels. So blood vessels are branched tubes extending from the heart to all parts of the body. Okay, there are three major types of blood vessels: arteries that carry blood from the heart, veins that return blood to the heart, and capillaries, extremely tiny vessel connecting the arteries and the veins. So depending on what work they are doing, what work these pipes are doing, we named them as arteries, veins, and capillaries. Now arteries are those pipes which are carrying blood from heart to different parts of the body. Veins we call to those pipes which are collecting blood again from different parts of the body and transferring it to the heart. And capillaries we call fine pipes. Fine pipes means tiny tubes, tiny vessels, okay, which are actually in contact with different parts of the body and supplying blood to those parts. So capillaries are extremely tiny vessels connecting the arteries and the veins. So they are the connections between arteries and veins. You can see in this diagram, here we have artery and here we have vein, and in between artery and vein you will see, okay, you will see the capillaries, small tubes, capillaries. When the blood is pumped out of the heart into the arteries, it is forced out at high pressure. When the blood is pumped out of the heart into arteries, it is forced out at high pressure by contraction of the muscular ventricles. So left ventricle means lower part of the heart. It contracts, okay, and it contracts and pushes the blood to different parts of the body. So there is a huge pressure, we can say, because the high pressure it has to apply so that blood will flow to different parts of the body. Arteries therefore require a strong wall to withstand the pressure of the blood. So therefore they have strong walls. Okay, arteries, okay, which are collecting blood from the heart, they have strong walls. Why they have strong walls? Because blood is coming under pressure in these arteries. Okay, they have elastic tissues in their wall that can stretch and recoil when the force with the force of blood. Okay, so they have elastic tissues in their wall that can stretch and recoil with the force of blood. Okay, the walls of the artery also contain muscle, and this determines the amount of blood that can flow through them and blood pressure. The walls of arteries also contain muscles. So this arteries, blood arteries, walls of the arteries, it is made up of muscular tissues, you can say, that determines the amount of blood that can be flow through them and the blood pressure. So blood pressure, these arteries, okay, they are some type of muscles only, and they determine, the muscle determine that how much pressure it can withstand, okay, and how much amount of blood it will allow to flow. So here you can see artery, okay, it's a structure. The outermost part we have called it as outer layer, that is tunica externa. Then this middle layer is called tunica media, that is middle layer. Inside we have tunica intima, that is innermost layer, and beneath that we have a basement membrane, and inside blood is flowing. Here we have the structure of vein, okay. The outer part is called tunica externa, outer layer. Again, middle is called tunica media, inner is called tunica intima, right? As the blood travel through the blood body, the arteries divide into smaller and smaller vessels. These are capillaries, and since their function is to take food, oxygen and other material to body cells to remove waste product, their valve must be thin enough to allow the passage of substances through them. So capillaries, they are in actual contact with the cells, and uh, through these capillaries there is exchange of nutrients, okay, from blood to the cells, and exchange of excretory products from cell to the blood. So their walls, it should be thin, it should be thin enough to allow the movement of these materials. As the blood continues its passage around the body, capillaries merge again to form veins through which the blood is returned to the heart. As the blood continues its passage around the body, capillaries merge again. So first what happened, arteries, it divided in small capillaries. Then these capillaries, they start merging, and by that they form a vein, they form a big tube, uh, bigger tube, that we call vein, through which blood return to the heart. By the time blood reaches the veins, its pressure has been greatly reduced and its flow is much slower. The wall of the veins therefore do not need to be thick or as elastic as those of the arteries. So here the walls are not so thick. Why they are not so thick? Because here pressure is not enough, okay. So there is no enough pressure, and therefore the arteries, walls of the arteries are not so thick. So we have understood about arteries, veins, blood capillaries. Again, let us understand uh, them with the help of difference between arteries and veins. So arteries, first point is that they carry blood away from the heart. Here they bring blood towards the heart. Second, carry blood into an organ. Carry blood into an organ means from heart they are pushing blood to different organs. And here it carry blood away from the organ. Third point, here they progressively branch, decreasing in size. Here progressively they unite and increasing in size. So as blood flows from arteries, then it branch out, it branch out into different capillaries. So this is happening in arteries. Arteries is branching out in capillaries, and here in veins, what happens? These capillaries, they are uniting and they are forming veins. A smallest artery breaks into arterioles. Now arteries, okay, they break into arterioles means when they divide. So we call those divisions first as arterioles. Arterioles, okay. Smallest veins arises from venules. So these venules are what? These capillaries, when they unite first, they form venules, and these venules, they unite and they form veins. Arteries have thick and more muscular wall. Here they have thin and less muscular wall. Here the walls are elastic. Here the walls are non-elastic. Here they have narrower lumen, and here we have wider lumen. they have no valve in their inner lining, and here we have walls in their inner lining. Actually, when blood is coming back to the heart, it has to flow from down to top. So to avoid backflow, we have walls in the veins, okay, to avoid that backflow. Ninth, do not collapse when empty. They do not collapse when empty. Here they collapse when empty. Carry oxygenated blood. So arteries we see from heart, they carry oxygenated blood, and here they carry deoxygenated blood. Except a pulmonary artery, you make a note, except a pulmonary artery. This pulmonary artery, it bring deoxygenated blood, okay, from upper part of the body, okay, and here pulmonary veins, okay, they carry oxygenated blood, okay, to the upper part of the body. Now, blood flows with jerks and under great pressure. So heart when it pumps, so with a jerk the blood is flowing into the arteries. Here blood flow continuously and under very little pressure. So in veins the pressure is very little. Usually placed deeply. Arteries, if you see, they are placed deep inside the body, and here veins, you see, they are usually placed superficially. So when you see your hand and you see fine, okay, lines running in your hand, those are nothing but those are veins. So they are present superficially. Okay. So we have understood the working of heart. We have understood how the blood is flowing to different parts of the body. Now let us see heart rate. Heart rate is the speed of heartbeat measured by number of contractions of the heart per minute. Okay, so per minute, how many time my heart is contracting, that gives me heart rate. Okay, the heart rate can vary according to the body's physical need, including the need to absorb oxygen and excrete carbon dioxide. It is usually equal or close to pulse measured at any peripheral point. Activities that can provoke change include the physical exercise, sleep, anxiety, stress, illness, and ingestion of the drugs. So this heart rate means how many time it is contracting. It depend on like what physical activity we are doing. So when you are running, you will feel that your heart rate increased because now your body need more oxygen. So to give more oxygen, what happens? Blood is pumped by heart. Okay, in a fast manner, and so heart rate increases. When you are sleeping, then your body does not really need that much oxygen requirement and your heart rate slows down. Okay, stroke volume, the amount of blood pumped by left ventricle of the heart in one contraction, that is called stroke volume. The stroke volume is not all the blood contained in the left ventricle. Normally only about two-thirds of the blood in the ventricle is expelled with each beat. So when your left ventricle contracts, it does not allow all the blood in the ventricle to come out. Okay, it allows only two-thirds of the blood to come out. So that is your stroke volume. Together with heart rate, the stroke volume determines the output of the blood by the heart per minute. Now, cardiac output is the amount of blood the heart pump from each ventricle per minute. It is usually expressed in liter per minute. So, your cardiac output is your HR into SV. Now, what is this SV and HR? HR is your heart rate and SV is your stroke volume. So when I multiply heart rate means how many time it contract. If I multiply that with in each contraction how much volume it is pumping, so their product will give you cardiac output, and this cardiac output is in liters per minute. Changes in either heart rate or stroke volume can alter cardiac output. Definitely, if your heart rate increases, your cardiac volume will increase. Impaired regulations of SV, that is stroke volume. Impaired regulations of SV, including the preload, afterload, and contractility, can have a significant adverse effect on the cardiac output. Normal values for a resting healthy individual would be approximately 5 to 8 liters. Okay, so 5 to 8 liters of blood is pumped by heart per minute. Patients undergoing surgery or in critical illness situations may require higher than normal cardiac output, and it may be more appropriate to aim for optimal rather than normal cardiac output. Relationship between cardiac output, stroke volume and the heart rate. So one relation we have already seen here, that cardiac output is heart rate into SV, heart rate into stroke volume. Heart is the most important muscle of the body. The main function of the heart is to pump and deliver blood which is used by tissues. Cardiac output is the total volume of the blood. Cardiac output is the total volume of the blood pumped by the heart per minute. It is the product of blood pumped by each heart beat and the number of beats, heart rate. The relationship between stroke volume and the heart rate is constantly changing. So cardiac output is stroke volume into heart rate. Stroke volume into heart rate. Neither cardiac output or stroke volume can be measured non-invasively. In addition, stroke volume reaches its maximum at a relatively low intensity during exercise. So when you are doing exercise, its value is high, stroke volume is high, means it is pumping more blood. Therefore, the heart rate remains the most practical indicator of the heart's working and the functions of cardiovascular system during exercise. Mechanism of this blood circulation. The heart is a muscular organ which is as big as our fist. Okay, so you see your fist, the same is the size of your heart. Because both oxygen and carbon dioxide have to be transported by the blood, the heart has different chambers to prevent the oxygen rich blood from mixing with the blood containing carbon dioxide. So here we have seen 4 different chambers. Why our heart has these chambers? So that our oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood should not mix with each other. The carbon dioxide rich blood has to reach the lung for carbon dioxide to be removed, and the oxygenated blood from the lung has to be brought back to the heart. This oxygen rich blood is then pumped to rest of the body. Blood circulation starts when the heart relaxes between two heartbeat. Okay, so heartbeat, if you put your hand on your chest, you will be able to hear this heartbeat. Now between two heartbeat, there is a relaxation time. Blood flows from both artery into the ventricle, which then expand. The phase is called ejection period, which is when both ventricle pump the blood into large arteries. In the systemic circulation, the left ventricle pump oxygen rich blood into the main artery. The blood travels from the main artery to larger and smaller arteries into the capillary network. There the blood releases oxygen, nutrients and other important substances and take on carbon dioxide and waste substances. The blood which is now low in oxygen is now collected in vein and travel to the right atrium into the right ventricle and into the right ventricle. So let us see again what is given, how the whole working is happening. Blood circulation starts when the heart relaxes between two heartbeat. So from there we will start. When our heart is relaxing, then blood flows from both arteria we are saying. So from both the arteria, that is left and right, from both the blood is flowing into ventricle. It is going down, it is flowing into the ventricle, the lower chamber, which then expand. Okay, now these ventricles, they are expanding and blood is coming to those ventricles. This phase is called ejection period. So this time when blood is moving from arteries to ventricle is called ejection period, which is when both ventricle pump the blood into the large arteries. And then what happens, these ventricles, they contract and they pump blood to arteries. In systemic circulation, so let us first discuss left hand side. In systemic circulation, the left ventricle pump oxygen rich blood into the main artery. So what happened, the ventricle, left ventricle, it pumped oxygenated blood to the main artery. The blood traveled from main artery to larger and smaller arteries. Then this blood traveled from this main artery to larger and smaller arteries into capillary network. It moved into the capillary network. There the blood releases oxygen. Now when it reaches in the capillary, there it releases oxygen, nutrient and other important substances to cells, okay, to different cells, and take on carbon dioxide and waste substances, and from there it collect carbon dioxide and waste. The blood which is now low in oxygen, now already it has given its oxygen, most of the oxygen to the cells, so it is low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide, I will say, is now collected in vein and travel to the right atrium. Now from here it travel to the right atrium and into the right ventricle. So it first collect in right atrium and then from there it is pushed to right ventricle. Now pulmonary circulation starts. Pulmonary circulation starts. The right ventricle pump blood that carries little oxygen into the pulmonary artery, which branches off into smaller and smaller arteries and capillaries. The capillaries from the fine network around the pulmonary ventricle grab like air sacs at the end of the airways. So here they are now in, we can say that lung. Here the carbon dioxide is released from the blood into the air contained in pulmonary vesicles and fresh oxygen enter in the bloodstream. When we breathe out, carbon dioxide leaves our body. So diagrammatically see here, this is our heart. So we start our journey from this point. Okay, from here blood enter in the ventricle, then ventricle when it contract, it pushes your blood to different parts of the body. So here you can see that it is going to the lower part and here it is going to the upper part of the body, that means head, okay, head and arms. Here and downside you will see that it is flowing and it is supplying blood to different organs, okay. So here it is branching, here it is moving and here again it is branching. So by that, okay, branching and they form small capillaries, okay. Here actual transport, or we can say that actually exchange of nutrients, oxygen and other toxic substances takes place between your cells, your different organs and your blood vessels, okay. So you can see capillaries here, you can see capillaries here. So everywhere whenever they are dividing, okay, they are dividing and redividing and they are forming capillaries, here you can see, okay. Then they again reunite, now they have more of carbon dioxide, okay, they are bringing that blood back. So here from different parts you will see that blood is coming back. Now this time this blood has more of carbon dioxide. So this blood which is more in carbon dioxide, it reaches the right part of the heart, that is right atrium first, okay. From upper part of the body also, okay, we see that the deoxygenated blood, that is the blood which has more of carbon dioxide, is coming to the heart. Now from this right atrium, it is pushing into the right ventricle, and from this right ventricle, okay, it is again pushed when it contract, it pushed into the lungs. In lung, again, our blood vessels, they divide and redivide and form capillaries, and there they are in contact with the air sacs where they exchange their carbon dioxide and take oxygen in, and then again that oxygenated blood, it goes into the heart and the whole journey again starts. Oxygen rich blood travel through the pulmonary vein and the left atrium into the left ventricle. So now from here oxygenated oxygen rich blood, it travel from the pulmonary vein and it enters the left atrium, and from left atrium to left ventricle. The next heartbeat starts a new cycle of the systemic circulation. In this way, the blood circulates twice through the body. So in one complete cycle, we have seen that blood entering the heart 2 times. So this is called double circulation. So in this way, blood circulates twice through the body into one complete cycle, and this is known as double circulation. States of the heart. An average heart pump 2.4 ounce. Do you know 70 millimeters of the blood per heartbeat? So this is the amount of blood it pump in one heartbeat. An average heartbeat up to 72 times per minute. So this is a normal heartbeat of any human being. Therefore, an average the heart pump 1.3 gallons, that is 5 liters of the blood per minute. In other words, it pump about 1900 gallons, that is 7200 liter of the blood per day, almost 7 lakh, that is 226 lakh 28,000 liters per year. Or we can say that, okay, about 18 crore 40 lakh 86,000 liters by the time someone is 70 years old. That is not bad for a 10-ounce pump. So our heart, see how much capacity it has, how much blood it pumped during our whole life, that is 70 years of period. Okay, interesting to know these facts. The blood is red colored, thick fluid, bright red when taken from an artery, or dark red when taken from a vein. It is alkaline in nature, salty in taste, viscous and heavier than water. An average adult contains 5 to 6 liters of the blood in a body. It forms nearly 8% of the body weight in the human beings. It is always in circulation from the heart to arteries and back through the veins. I think we should stop here. Otherwise, it will be too much in one lecture. So, again, first read this chapter, this topic again. Listen my video. Again, go through this topic. And once you are comfortable, then see the next video in which we will talk about the bloods. Thank you.